Hey everyone, this is Renjin. I've done a ton of one-on-one meetings to teach students how to use a camera in the past 2 months. I feel like I've been repeating myself over and over, so I decided to make a video to elaborate the basics well to relieve myself from the repeating work. We'll focus on the SONY A7S3 camera today, which is a perfect camera for filmmaking and all kinds of videography tasks. The recent Hollywood blockbuster, The Creator, is also filmed with this type of camera. We can finally afford a Hollywood level camera. Are you excited now? Let's dive in. Great, I'm glad that you are still here to learn. So this is the SONY A7S3 camera body, and I have a Sony 35mm f1.4 lens there. The first thing we need to know about this camera is the battery compartment. You always need a battery to shoot, and the battery looks like this. Battery compartment is on the bottom. Go from there to there, and it can be locked. The next one is the SD card slot. Some people cannot even open this slot, so I'll show you. Use this, press it down, and pull it out, and it will pop open. There are two slots there. They both support CF Express Type A card and also the SD card. I have two SD cards in there now. And these two type of cards basically look the same. Just the speed are different. And this is a V30 card. It's a lower end one, but it's sufficient for the 4K 24 frames per second on this camera. And now let's open this camera. Oh, by the way, this is a flip screen, so it can flip all the way to like that. You can also put it on the side, but for now I'll just put it there. Yeah, you don't see anything because we haven't installed a lens. So let me show you how to install a lens. There is two white dots over here and there. Align them up and rotate. In this way, the camera is equipped with a lens. And I usually put the lens cap and the camera cap in this way. They can come together, and in that way we don't lose any of them. And now, I actually have a top view camera, so you can see, like here there is on and off. If we switch it to on, this camera will be turned on. And if we get the lens cap off, we can see the view. And it's pretty blue. It's because I have a colorish light over there. But let's ignore that. And then you can also see there is a white balance, 4000K there. And to get this view, you need to press the display button here. The top button of this row is the display button. If you click it a few times, it has different modes. This one shows you that this camera is in 4K, 24 frames per second, 60 megabytes, that's just like a size reference, and 420 8-bit. Ideally, it's another setting. I already saved one here, so I'll just go directly to that one. By the way, there are 3 different memory settings there. So we can preset 3 different camera settings. So for here, I set this to be 4K 24 frames per second, 422 10-bit color, and the shutter speed will be 1/50, ISO will be 800. And the white balance is auto white balance. For the aperture, we can use this wheel to rotate and select the aperture. So this is specific to this lens. It has the aperture on the lens instead of in the software. Alright, so there are 3 most important settings you want to learn. First is the shutter speed. We can control it by this wheel. By the way, all the Sony cameras have customizable buttons. So like these C1, C3, and this wheel, that wheel, and the front wheel, they are all customizable. It doesn't have to be the way I set it, but just to make things easier, I set this wheel to 1/50. This is the shutter speed. That is for the aperture, but this lens doesn't have the software aperture, so it will depend on this wheel. Set it to 2.0 right now, and you can see it 2.0. ISO is adjusted by this wheel. I set it to 800. And there's another thing, picture profile. I set it to be this button, and picture profile 8. It actually shows that we are shooting in S-Log3. This is a preset made by Sony, and usually we will use this picture profile to have a higher dynamic range for filmmaking. And for the quick menu button, we can find a bunch of options. Like this one is for autofocus and manual focus. There is audio recording level here, and you can adjust your audio recording based on the two green bars. And right now it's kind of soft, and we can increase it. You can see that it's getting louder when I talk, and at some point it will peak. Peak means like it will reach 0 or even more than 0, and that is bad. We hope the audio level to be between -12 and -3. So like roughly right now, this camera is good for my talking voice. Okay. The next setting that's very important is to prioritize record media. And if we choose it to slot 2, it will save all the footage in the slot 2 card. We can choose that to slot 1, and slot 1 is the top one, and the slot 2 is the bottom one. Alright, so maybe your camera will be different from me because I customized it. How to customize it is another important topic. We can go to this menu system, and there are 50 pages. I will explain them soon, but for now, just go to the bottom one and find Operation Customize. And in here, we can customize the key setting. This is for the image. That is for videography. Usually, the videography setting is just inherited from the photography setting. Okay, so now let's look at some important camera setting and how you deal with the card. The first most important thing is this image quality. You want to set it to be 4K. This camera supports 4K up to 120 frames per second. But normally we will set it to 24 frames per second for normal speed. And higher frame rates are usually for slow-mo shots. And make sure it's 10-bit to have more color information. And the most important part is how to format the card. It's here, the first menu button, and here format. I'm controlling it with the wheel, but it's actually a touch screen. So you can select which card to format. If you click it, it will ask you to confirm. Will you actually format it? So this is a dangerous option, and once you format the card, everything will be removed from your card. Okay, that's the image quality setting and card formatting. I want to show you one important thing I always use. There are three presets here, 1, 2, 3. And how do we actually set that? So for Sony A7S3, we need to switch to this movie mode here. And let's do some setting. So I'll adjust the ISO to be 1000, shutter speed to be 1/50, and aperture can also be set if the lens is not a manual lens like that. But for now, I'll leave it there. And you can see that now it's 4208-bit. I want to change it to image quality movie setting to 10-bit. And now I think this setting is pretty good, and also the white balance. Maybe I also want to change it to auto for now. So I'll go to white balance and change it to auto. I hope to save this setting. How do we do that? So we go to here, the first menu button, shooting mode, and there is a camera set memory, and we can actually select it to here. If we click OK, like the middle button here, it will save the setting to one of the, we just selected one, so it will save the setting to the first preset. And right now, if I change my settings to whatever it is, maybe there's something wrong with the image quality, it's HD or whatever here, but if I switch to preset 1, it will turn back everything to what we set before. And this is pretty important. The next setting I want to say is you should rename the files. It's here, file setting. So if you have multiple Sony A7S3 camera, they have identical naming rules, so it's hard to find out, like in post, which is which. So to make your post-production easier, set a file name. And the title, we can change this to a name. I'll just change this to any name. I'll say Mike, M-I-K-E. So this is the preset, the prefix of the file name. And after that, you will see like Mike123. And if you have another camera, you can set it to another name, so there is no naming conflict. Okay, so before we can use the Sony A7S3 to record any ProRes RAW footage, we need to activate the Ninja V monitor. Some of the features are paid, but the ProRes RAW is not paid. We need to click the activate button here if it's your first time to get the Ninja V monitor, and then there will be a token, and if I click download token, it will download. If I click that button, it will download in here. Another thing I noticed is that there is a firmware update, so very likely you need to go to the firmware update here and click the update for the top one, and this is the newest one. If you don't do that, the device probably won't recognize the token here, so there will be problems. And to update it, just click that, and it will actually download a file. And that file, you put that file inside the drive. In the root directory, it will be another file. You just decompress it there, and this is the token, the activation token. Just put them in the root folder, and then plug that SSD into the Ninja 5 monitor, and it will automatically update the firmware and activate it. So I'll show you how that works. Okay, so now I'll just start the Ninja 5 monitor. I already downloaded the file just described into the SSD drive here, and yeah. So if your firmware is not updated, you will probably see a blue background, but the newest firmware has a red background, and here it will recognize this. Here, the activation, and now you can see I activated the Get Creative, ProRes RAW, and DNX. So all of them are activated, and then we can use the ProRes RAW feature. And now I'll start the camera. Oh, by the way, I should show you like the ports on the Sony camera. We are talking about Sony. Ninja V is just another feature. So there is a HDMI port on the side, an audio plug-in. You can plug in a microphone over there. And that is the monitor, the audio. This is for earphone. That is the camera control cable. It's basically an Type-C USB to the camera, and we will set the HDMI information display to off. Let's see how it works if I set it to on. If I set it to on, this monitor is basically my camera, and it will display all the camera information there. And now if I start recording on the monitor using the ProRes RAW or ProRes whatever, you will see the camera information there, and I'll show you how it looks like real quick. So you see, we normally just want the footage instead of the camera info. So therefore, we need to turn off this. It's the last button here, last menu item, and the external output, HDMI info, and to off. And also you see like the screen on the camera is off if we turn the info display on. And when we turn it off, this looks much normal to me. So you have two screen on at the same time. Even when I start recording, this monitor is still there, and that monitor I can see it, and all the camera related information is there. And if I start recording over here, then this will record a clean image without all the camera information, and I can actually use the footage here to edit. Okay, so to opt-in on LUT, we are using the Sony camera, so we'll go to Sony LUT, just search it on Google and go into this website. This is the Sony official website, and down below you will see like there's S-Log mount, S-Log 2 and S-Log 3 LUT. Download the Sony one. We are using the S-Log 3, so just click that download button. It will give you a .cube file, like it's a zip file, but inside there are those cube file. Decompress it into the drive, and my drive is connected to the computer right now. So these four are the 4 cube files, and you will need an activation.bin. This file is obtained from the Ninja V's activation website. There will be a few steps that you need to follow, typing the serial number and a bunch of other identification number for the monitor you bought. And then these are 4 files that I just recorded with the ProRes. It's not even ProRes RAW, but just ProRes. And you can see it's 84 gigabytes for around 7-minute video. This is way larger than the Sony's internal recording file. I don't know if it's worth it, but like some people want to have the raw quality or the ProRes quality, you can go for that. I personally think it's just too large to get this like 2% or 5% of image quality increase. You need to have a lot of storage devices and investing the drives. So that's the trade-off, and hopefully you kind of understand. Okay, so now let's look at how we can use the external recording on the Sony A7S3 with Ninja V. So we just installed the LUTs and also updated the firmware. Now let's go to the menu of here. There is a monitor. That is the place where we can change the setting for the monitor to display. It can display native of the camera recording. It's like S-Log 3, so you will be looking at S-Log 3 footage. You can also convert it to Rec 709. So this is the Rec 709 footage. This is supported by Ninja V. We can also use custom LUTs. And if we select the monitor to LUT, and then we go here, and there are 3 different LUTs I selected. You can see the name there. It might not be that obvious. This one is S-Log 3 to Rec 709. That's from the Sony's website. That's an option. We can, let me select that. Select an empty part, and the empty part will just be the native one. And then we can select another one. this folder is where I put all the LUTs in. So if I select that, and the Ninja V will just install that. It looks a little bit strange because it's not the right color for that one. But like this is to Rec 709 type A, that's also 709 type A, this is to S-Log 2, and this is to Rec 709. So that's pretty much it. And now we can use this external recording thing to the monitor to do the external recording. So go to record, there's a pre-roll that accelerates the recording, and when I'll just focus on the cable over there, and if I click recording on the camera, I can record the data into the SD card, but I can separately record it to the monitor. And right now I'm recording it into ProRes HQ. Oh, the battery is pretty low, so that's because I spent a lot of time figuring this out myself, but no worries. So this is how we externally record it, and I'll just stop it. I think this is pretty much it for the Sony camera introduction. I think that the Ninja V is probably another topic. I'll deep dive into this device next time. And thanks for watching, and see you next time.